information. Under related document, you can see the request for quotation number is mapped against this particular purchase requisition. If you click on this request for quotation number, it will open directly the purchase requisition. Okay, so I just clicked on that particular hyperlink of that particular request for quotation quote number. Now you can see, please wait. Now this is the request for quotation. By default it opened from the particular purchase requisition form. Okay, if I click on back again, I will be back to the purchase requisition. The actual navigation for request for quotation is, let me go back to home so that you can remember the navigation. For that, you will navigate to the procurement sourcing module. Okay, under procurement sourcing module we have request for quotation. Under request for quotation you can see all request for quotation. Okay, so when you click on all request for quotation, you can see the all request for quotation, whatever it has been generated in this particular legal entity, it will be displayed over here. Okay, so we have generated number 10, that is the 365 SCM implementation. This is the title, document title which we have given, and you can see this is the request for quote ID which is generated. Okay, so at here also you can see we will have different status. One is created. Okay, created in the sense we just converted our request for quotation from PR to RFQ. Okay, so I will click on this particular quote number 10. At here you may confuse a little bit, so I will re-explain, no issues. If you have any doubt, please ask. Okay, so at here I will go to the header. So each form is categorized in two different sessions. One is line view heading, another one is header. Okay, in line view you can see again it is classified in three categories: request for quotation header, request for quotation lines, and line details. And if you go with the header, we have different categorized over here. So in header we will expand the vendor. I will explain one by one from the beginning. Okay, first let me expand the general tab. Okay, in general tab you can see at here we have allow alternative response lines. You can click on yes. Let me click on edit. Okay, and if you click on bidding guidelines term, you can expand this particular drop down. If you have certain guidelines, like if you want to quote, so what are the necessary things you want to attach this particular request for quotation, so you can click on add and you can add the bidding guidelines. So like for example, there is nothing is there, so you can add it. So you can directly click on this particular down arrow, right button, view details. Okay, click on add new. So at here I am saying that references. Okay, let me add trade license. So I just add two bidding terms for your reference. Okay, so in this particular drop down I will select as references and I will check this particular checkbox as required. It means when the respective person respective vendor is submitting his quotation, he will share as a reference as attachment with us. Okay, and if I expand the vendor tab, so at here you will see the vendor list. Okay, so we need to map the vendors to whom we are inviting to participate the quotation. I mean, we are inviting the vendors to participate in the bidding, right? So that is the main purpose of creation of request for quotation. So we need to map those vendors to whom we want to invite to participate bidding process for this particular requisition line item. So at here you can select, like for example I am selecting ME suppliers. Okay, I will click on add line, and at here I will select the landed package supplier. Okay, and I will click on save. Okay, so this is one way of adding the vendor, by click on add and select the vendor. Okay, the another way of adding the vendors over in this particular form. Okay, what you need to do, you can see there is a vendor search. Okay, so what this vendor search button will be do, so you click on this particular vendor search, and at here we have various criteria. So based on criteria we will filter it, and it will display the vendor list. Okay, like for example you can see, if I want to filter with the vendor group, so we have around different vendor groups. Like for example other vendor I have selected, for example, and I will click on OK. So it will display me over here who are the vendor whose vendor group is other. Like for example, let me duplicate this particular tab so that you can easily understand who are the other vendor group. So I just clicked on right button on this particular tab, and I've clicked on duplicate. So I'm going to the accounts payable, vendors, all vendors. Okay, so at here you can see there will be a column called vendor group. Okay, you can see there is a vendor group over here, and at here what vendor group we have selected, vendor group as others. So I think others is 40. You can see this is 40, right? 40 is other vendor group description. So if I filter over here vendor group as 40, and these vendor details and these vendor details both are same. Okay, there is no change in that. Okay, so this is the advantage of search, vendor search, and based on this you can add it. Like for example I am adding air cargo, I have selected it to whom I need to add the lines to invite the request for quotation. So I just selected air cargo line, carrier, transfer selected line. Okay, so when I click on transfer selected line, you can see a line, a vendor detail information has been mapped to this particular vendor list. Okay, next one is auto add vendor. So what is the advantage of this auto add vendor? Okay, so let me explain you. For that, let me go back to the different tab. Look at the tab. Okay, so at here let me go to the procurement category. For that I will navigate to the procurement sourcing. You can see there is a procurement category. Click on this particular procurement category. Okay, so at here we have selected computer. Under office machine you can see computers. So for this particular computer, so we have at here we have the various tabs. Okay, one is product. So under this particular category, if we have any product, you will map over here. Okay, and similarly you can see at here vendors. Okay, so we will expand this particular vendor tab, and at here I will map some vendors. Like for example at here I am mapping let's LTL vendor. Okay, and AD supply company. So I just mapped two vendors over here in this particular procurement category against, and I have clicked on save. Okay, so I will go back to the request for quotation case, that is our request for quotation, and if I click on auto add vendor, so what are the vendors I have mapped under the procurement category, those vendors will be auto added. Like for example if I click on auto add vendors, you can see we have mapped LTL vendor and as well as AD supply companies. So these two vendors I have mapped at the procurement category level. These are the pre-approved vendor for this particular procurement category, and those vendor information is auto populated when I click on auto add vendors. Okay, so we have question and answer that I will explain in another RPR process. Okay, so once we add these vendor, okay, on top you can see under process we have send, under quotation process we have send. Okay, so what do you mean by send over here? So once you click on send for this vendor, there will be an invitation process will be sent to them to participate. We are inviting you to participate for the bidding for this particular purchase requisition line. I want this much quantity, so what is my price? Kindly update and submit your quotation. Okay, so when I click on send, you can see these are the vendor list which we have added under this particular request for quotation, and it's populating over here. And once I click on OK, it will be sent to them. Okay, so I just clicked on OK. Now it's processing operation unit for the request for quotation. So once the send is completed, my request for quotation status will be changed to sent. Okay, my highest for request for quotation there will be a two different status. One is highest status, lowest status. Okay, you can see the highest and lowest status. Okay, the highest status will be the first which is the higher one. Like for example, now the cent is higher. Okay, when I am receive at one receive reply from any one vendor, by default the highest status will be changed to received. Okay,